Hey Legionnaires, and welcome back. We're here with another Dawnless Days video for you today, and this is the Iron Hills overview. A lot of you were asking for this after the Iron Hills participated in the Battle for Dale video that came out a few days ago, and I thought, you know what, we'll give you guys what you want. We'll give you a Iron Hills unit overview. So as you know, if you've watched a few of these unit overview like videos, then we go over like each section of a roster. So we go over swords, we then go over spears, shock infantry, pikes, archers, cav, and so on, basically. And we go from low to high, we look at the stats, and we look at what is probably the best for your money to bring to a battle, sort of thing. So what is worth, and then we'll make some rosters at the end of what I would build with an Iron Hills army. So obviously, Iron Hills is a new faction that is brought by the Last Breath submod. If you haven't checked out the Last Breath submod, I fully recommend you go and do so. Go and give them some critiques. Go and give them some praise in the workshop. It's the link will be down below in the description, so you can go and check it out. It's very easy to install, and yeah, just go and support the submod and all the modders. They do a really good job, and I'm sure they'll be very, very happy to listen to your criticism and any tweaks that they can make to the mod. But anyway, guys, I will get on with this video, and we'll start straight away with the swords. We have the Dwarven Company here, which is a very similar unit, I believe, to the Erebor Dwarven Company. I'm pretty sure they just kept the same unit. So it's a Levy Infantry unit. Its melee attack is a 23. There's excellent melee defense, as you can see there. It has 50 melee defense. These dwarves are going to be hard to break through. We then have armor at 30, we have health at 95. We'll have to see whether that health is a base, like health for all dwarves, we'll have to see. Morale is also at a base 32, even though it gets various buffs from generals and stuff like that, is at base 32. So it's okay, but it's nothing insane. Speed is at 30, and missile block chance at 15, so they're not going to take many shots when hit. They are pretty lightly armored. They are melee, medium melee infantry. So yeah, that's kind of really the result to them. They're kind of like a shield wall. They can form shield walls, so they can stop a bit of a cav charge. But yeah, they haven't they're not really that great. They are the cheapest swords you can bring as dwarves, and there's much better you can bring for a decent price. I feel like as when you play as the dwarves, you're kind of bringing usually small armies, but good quality. But if you want to bring like a different strategy and bring a lot of like troops, but a lesser quality, maybe the Dwarven Company is your strategy for you. But anyway, we will move on from the Dwarven Company, and we'll move straight on to the best sword unit available for the Iron Hills. We have the Iron Hill Warriors here, and my gosh, do I think these guys look amazing. I mean, their shields and everything, I mean, it looks great, it really does. Just like and it doesn't look like anything amazing, and you're like, Pope, what are you looking at? It's just plain, like, iron, like, silver swords, like, look to it. I think it looks great. I think, like, the plain, just, like, colors, like just really rugged sort of look that these units have look amazing. It really does kind of give sort of the Iron Hill look. And the dwarves, they don't go for good looks, they go for practicality. That's their whole style. But anyway, the Iron Hill Warriors, as you can see here, they're heavy melee infantry. They are trained. They are which is like the Dwarven Company's only Levy, so they are like already moving much better in the quality of troops. With excellent melee defense, excellent melee attack, and good armor. Yeah, you can see their melee attack of 40, already seeing a bit of an increase. Melee damage at 36. Melee defense at 60. Armor's already getting to 75. We're seeing a massive increase there from the 30. Health is still at 95, so as we can see a base value. Speed is slightly decreased, but morale is already massively up as well at 46. So we've seen a massive increase there, and morale, missile block chance at 45 as well. So yeah, massive improvements here on the units like that came before, like the Dwarven Company. They are like this unit here, the Iron Hill Warriors. You're gonna see full armies of these. You could see like this is your mainline infantry that you're bringing to a battle. And as you saw in the Battle of Dale, there was plenty of these guys, because that is what the Iron Hills will probably be strong in, is its infantry, like its melee infantry. But anyway, we'll move on to the other final melee unit, like main melee infantry unit, which is actually a axe unit. But I threw it in here with the swords because I thought, well, there's nowhere else I'd rather put it, to be honest. And as you can see, it is right on here at the end. We have the Dwarven Axe Infantry. And the Dwarven Axe Infantry are a medium infantry unit. We'll have a quick look at them. I mean, they look awesome. You can see like the detail on like the helmets and stuff like that. Let's, if we can anyway. There you go. Look at that. Looks glorious. I know they take a lot of their stuff from like the main mod which is fair enough. But I mean, you still gotta just enjoy the detail that's just into these units and into all their uniforms. Look great. They really do, like top notch. But anyway, yes, Dwarven Axe Infantry. A melee attack of 33, so you are seeing a decrease here. These are medium axe infantry. They are some of the cheapest infantry you can bring. I think they are slightly worse than Iron Hill Warriors, but they are slightly better than the Dwarves' worst sword infantry, which is their Dwarven company. So they're like a bit of an in-between. They have excellent melee defense at 55, so they are pretty good. They are slightly better than the Dwarven company, but like I said, they're kind of in that middle, that grey area in between the two sword units. Their health is 95. Their morale is at 52, it says, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, 41 is their base. So yeah, they're still really good though for morale. Like, they're gonna hold for a long time with these guys. Speed at 30, so back to that missile block at 15, same as Dwarven Company. Melee damage at 28, so we're seeing a decrease there on the Iron Hill Warriors, and the charge bonus at 20, and yeah, that's kind of really it to them. Again, they can form shield wall. It's a pretty solid unit. Again, if you kind of bring just like cheap units, if you need these guys to like hold the line, if you've got like a bit of money left over, you need some other troops to hold the line. These guys will do a good job. They'll do a lot of damage. They'll kill actually a decent amount of troops to allow then your more elite troops to then clear up the enemy if you need to. But anyway, that is all of the swords / axes. We'll now be moving on to the spears. So I'll see you guys in a moment. Okay, so here we are. We're here with the spears, and again, like I said, we will move from worst to best from the spears. So here we go with the worst, but even still, it's not that bad. Dwarven Boar Hunters, they are pretty decent, and they are a leather unit. And I kind of really like the name Boar Hunters. I think it's really good. Maybe the only inclusion we get for the boars in Dawnless stage, because there's going to be no like boar calf or anything like that, or goat calf or anything like that. So this might be the only site we see of boars. But they have excellent melee defense. You can see there at 56. Very poor missile block chance, down at 15 like most of the other leather units, and poor melee attack at 19. I mean, a spear unit is not supposed to be able to attack very well. It's supposed to just hold the line and kind of just allow for like maybe archers or things like pikes to support them. You can see the armor at 45, so it's not too bad on armor. It's a bit better than the Dwarven Company down there at 30. It's health again at 95. Morale is looking like 32, so it's not too bad. It seems like it's a pretty standard amount of morale now for Dwarves. And charge bonus at 15, and melee damage at 27. So they're doing okay, but there are much better stuff out there, as we'll move on to now quickly. And this is the Carn River Guard. These guys here are looking pretty glorious. I really do like the look of these. I mean, their red capes and everything. They look like they could be the most elite Dwarven units, but they're not. They do have the Erebor shield, but I really do like the look of them. I feel like they could have just given them the Iron Hill one. That would have probably been a little bit better, just kind of like made them all look the same, because giving them the Erebor shield probably is just a little bit like of a, I don't know, a bit of a contradiction to what they are, which is the Iron Hills. But yeah, Carn River Guard, really good unit. This is a heavy spear infantry, excellent melee defense, excellent armor, average missile block chance. But I mean, 30 missile block chance is not too bad, to be honest. And these guys have incredibly good armor and melee defense, 70 melee defense. It's incredibly good. These guys hold forever in a choke point, as we saw in the Battle of Dale. If you haven't gone and seen that, check that video out, by the way. I fully recommend you go and do so. And you got a melee attack here of 33, which is not too bad. It's like almost double what the Boar Hunters have, but it's a bit better. A melee damage at 27. So again, like I say, it's not as good as some of the sword units, but it's okay, because the spear is supposed to be more of a defense than it is an attack weapon. Morale is at 46. Again, these guys aren't breaking for a long time. And then the speed at 29. Yeah, they're going to be pretty good. These guys can hold the choke point for a really long time. Best way to kill them is certainly to shoot them in the back with archers. That's how I've found. Or maybe shock is not too bad as well. But yeah, we will now move on to the final unit, which we'll only pay a little bit of attention to, because we have covered this in the Erebor overview, which is the Iron Guards. But these are the most elite units. They haven't changed these guys at all, as you can see here, and they still look glorious. But yeah, these are an iconic unit for the Dwarven, like for the Dwarves of the Iron Hills, and they're in both Iron Hill and Erebor rosters. These are elite, very heavy spear infantry, excellent melee defense, excellent armor, good missile block, My gosh, these guys are good. I mean, their missile block is at 60. Their speed 27, so they are slowed a little bit. But morale is at base 54. These guys never break. I see these guys fight to the last man often. Yeah, they're impossible to break. Health 105, so they have an increase on that average of 95. Their armor at 85, so there's an increase on the Carn and River Guard. Melee defense at 78. Oh boy, it's good. Like, this is incredible. These guys, like, you just put them in a choke point. These guys just don't leave it. They just stay there forever. Melee damage still at 27, which is pretty average for a spear unit, it seems. And then melee attack at 38. So we are seeing an increase. And they actually are pretty good. They're better than some of the lower tier swords in a melee attack. Whether that's worth bringing them, I don't know. I think they're worth bringing just for the sake that you can throw them into a choke point, and you know you're going to hold there for 5-10 minutes sometimes in a siege battle. These guys are tough to break through. You need things like grenadiers from Isengard, maybe crossbows, or things like pikes or shock infantry, like really good shock infantry to break through these guys. But there you go, that is all the spears. We will now move on to the pikes, so I'll see you guys in a moment. Here we are with the pikes, and the Dwarves of the Iron Hills have two pike units that we will be covering today. They have this first unit here, which is the Iron Hill Pikemen, a very simple name. Kind of gets straight to the point on what they are. They are pikes of the Iron Hills. They have excellent melee defense, they have average armor, they are trained infantry units. They're pretty good. They're not like gonna break instantly. They have poor missile block chance like basically every other pike unit. They have poor missile block chance. They have 20 missile block, which actually I think is higher than some of the sword units though still. Which is actually kind of surprising because those sword units have a shield to block with. These guys are literally holding just a pike. They can't protect themselves. Speed of 29, so they are a little bit on the slower side. We've got morale here of 46. Again, they don't break very easy. They have higher morale than a lot of other sword units in the roster. And then we have health at 95, that base there. Armor at 50, it's pretty solid. Melee defense at 34. Melee damage at 18 and melee attack at 29. So yeah, pikes don't necessarily do a lot of damage, but they are just there and they're an annoyance, and it forces units back from a choke point quite often. That is all they do really. So yeah, we will now move on to the next unit, which is a even more elite pike unit, and I love the look of this unit. This is the Dragon Slayer unit, and my gosh, I think these guys look great in the blue, like the Arid Mithra and like sort of the helmet going on. Oh boy, these guys definitely, I can imagine, have killed a few dragons in their time. But yes, so here we go. The Dragon Slayer is an elite pike unit, and they have a melee attack of 34. They have a melee damage of 18, so it's slightly increased, but not much. A melee damage of 40, and they have armor of 60, so again a gradual increase. Their health 105, so the same health as the Iron Guard, and then we have morale, that's going to be sky high at 54 like the Iron Guard. Speed down to 27, so even slightly slower, which is fair enough. They are a very heavy pike unit, and their missile block is at 35, so it's not too bad, but yeah, it's still very vulnerable compared to some other like Dwarven units that are in the roster. So yeah, definitely a really good unit. I'd love to see this unit in action. Sadly, in the Battle of Dale, it did not really do so great, but we will see how it can do in future battles. So I'm definitely going to have to try and do some more Iron Hill scenarios. But yeah, that is all the pikes. We will now move on to the archers. So here we go with the first arch unit, which actually isn't really an arch unit, but I thought, again, like we did with the axe infantry, with the swords, I'd throw in the axe throwers with the archers, because there's only a few arch units. So I thought, you know what, this is the prime place to throw them in. So yes, here we go. We have the Carn Hunters, which are a medium skirmish unit, and they throw axes, which is really cool. They have excellent melee defense, which to be fair is 45, so it's not too bad. Good armor at 60. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's certainly above some units. It's not the best, but it's pretty good. An average missile block chance, which is at 30, which I guess, yeah, is like double what some like the Dwarven Company has at 15, and the axes have at 15 as well. But they have a melee attack of 24, melee damage of 25. I mean, they are an axe thrower, like a skirmish unit. They're not supposed to be like really good swordsmen. But their health is at 95, which is average. Their morale is at 30, which I think might be the lowest so far. Ammunition of 12, so they have a decent amount of ammunition. Range of 40, that is the risk with their range. And their accuracy is 11, so I don't know if these guys are really worth bringing, because their accuracy is so low and their range is so low. Like, if they were, like, if their accuracy was higher maybe, and their like damage that their missile actually did, like the missile damage was really good because you're throwing an axe. So it's not like you're throwing, like firing an arrow, which you could possibly survive. If you get hit with an axe, you're dead. I know it is slightly harder to throw an axe than it is to fire a bow accurately, but still, I feel like it should be higher than 11 in my opinion. And this is something that I've been seeing with like Total War and certainly like skirmish units. There's just no appeal to bringing them. They're just there for the sake of it, because they're actually too low. So, like certainly like axe throw units, that like they're actually so low, and their range is so low, which is fine. I agree their range should be low, but they're actually so low as well. There's just no appeal to bring them because you just bring in a unit that just it can't fire very far and it doesn't hit its target either. So what's the point in bringing it? You're just wasting money. You better just upgrading something else or bring in a cheap unit in its place. So I feel like they need to like put the accuracy up and like not ridiculously so they just hit every time, but just a decent amount. So you know maybe like 1 in 3 shots actually hit, and then that it's an instant kill. And I feel like that's fine. Even if you have to kind of counteract that, you lower the ammunition a little bit, that's fine by me. But I actually want something that's, you know, going to be able to hit and actually do some damage and actually be worthwhile bringing. But anyway, that's my bit on the Carn Hunters. We'll now move on to actual archers, or should I say crossbows, and we have the Ered Mithrin crossbows here, and they look awesome. I'm really glad that we've got like some more crossbow units for the dwarves. I feel like that's a really cool idea, and I feel like this is going to be a weakness of the Iron Hills, is that they don't have actual bow units, they only have crossbows and axe throwers. So in a siege scenario, if you're attacking with Iron Hills, it's going to be a bit of a tough challenge, because like crossbows can't fire over walls and over choke points. They need a direct line of sight to hit their target in Dawnless days, and I feel like that's going to be a weakness for them in this game. So here we go. Ered Mithrin crossbows, a medium crossbow infantry. They're trained. They have average accuracy. I mean, the accuracy is 24, which is, I guess, like double and a bit more of the axe throwers, but it's not like incredibly insane. Like the elves accuracy is much higher, or like even Athelian rangers who have like 50 accuracy. Melee defense is average as well. I mean, it's okay. Yeah, at 36, I guess it is average. Melee damage at 25 and melee attack at 31. So I mean, they can hold themselves. Dwarves, I feel like when you charge dwarven crossbows, they never die. They always seem to soak up the charge, and then they kind of fight on for a little bit, and you eventually kill them, but it just takes much longer than killing another arch unit. The morale, it says 45, but it's actually base 34. Range 125, so they've got decent range, but it's not like the same range as a bow as it should be, as it shouldn't be yet. A crossbow does have that less range, but it has more damage when you when you shoot the crossbow. It's more likely to kill a unit than it is than a bow is. But yeah, so they're a pretty solid unit. The ammunition 20, so they've got a decent amount of ammunition as well to fire through. So yeah, a solid unit. And then we've got over here the next unit, which is a unit I'm really excited to show off, which is the Iron Fortress Guardians. We have an elite crossbow unit. You don't often see these guys, elite crossbows, but my gosh, these guys just look like Iron Guard, but given a crossbow instead, and they look amazing. They really do. A heavy crossbow infantry, good melee defense, as you can see there. They have 42. These guys are actually going to be able to fight in combat relatively well. Good armor, and you can see there the armor is at 60. Their health is at 105 as well, so they are like pretty good in health, like the same as an Iron Guard for health. Range 125, accuracy 26, so slightly increase in accuracy. Ammunition of 20. Their morale is also going to be 54, the same as an Iron Guard unit and the Dragon Slayers. So these guys will hold for a long time if you throw them into melee as well. And yeah, their melee attack is 43, which is much better than some of the infantry units that we've seen. But their melee damage is down to 128, so when they do go into combat, they're not hitting as hard, but they're still hitting relatively hard, I feel, with that melee attack. I am excited to see these guys in combat. I've seen one of them get over 400 kills in the Battle of Dale. I'd be interested to see if they consistently do that sort of thing. With like, I feel like if they use all their ammunition and then they go into combat, they could do pretty well. Certainly getting to 200 to 300 kills regularly, maybe 400. But yeah, that is all of the archers, guys. I hope you have enjoyed looking at them. We are now going to move on to the piece de resistance, which is the shock infantry. So I'll see you guys in a moment. So here we go with the shock infantry, the most variety of the Iron Hill roster, which is the shock infantry. This is where the most units are. There's about 5 to, I think actually 6 units of shock infantry, and we're going to go from the worst to the best as we usually do. So here we go. We are starting with the worst, which is the Dwarven Lumberjacks. A very light shock infantry unit. It's basically the exact same as the Dwarven miners that Erebor have. But instead it's a lumberjacks. These guys chopping down wood instead of mining in the mines of Erebor. So yes, as you can see here, very poor missile block chance. They have 5. This is the worst we've had so far. Very poor armor down there at 15. Again, probably the worst that we've had seen for armor. And then very poor melee defense, which is at 25. Their charge bonus is 25, melee damage 39, and their melee attack 30. So I mean, they got some pretty solid melee attack. I mean, their melee damage is better than any of the crossbow units we've seen, which is good. Speed at 33 actually might make them the quickest unit around. They are very light. Their morale is also 32, and they have that base health of 95. So yeah, they're doing okay. I mean, I wouldn't personally bring them. I think there's much better to bring. But I guess if you have a little bit of money left over and you go, screw it, let's have another shock infantry. As long as this unit doesn't get focused down, maybe it could be pretty useful in a flanking charge. I never really bring low tier shock infantry. I feel like if you're going to bring shock infantry, you got to bring decent shock infantry to do the damage, to make sure that it's done well. I feel like you might as well spend your little bit of money you have left instead of on a shock infantry unit on a low tier sword infantry unit or maybe an archer unit. But yes, so there you go. That is the first unit of the shock infantry. Then we have the Mana Quarries, another unit that they share with the Dwarves of Erebor, which is the Mana Quarries. So we'll quickly go over these guys because we have seen them before, but they do look great. I do like the Mana Quarries. We instantly move from very light to heavy shock infantry. The jump is very, very quick in the Iron Hill roster. Good melee attack. As you can see there, 36 is a little bit of an increase. We have gone up about 6. And then we've got melee damage at 38. Again, we've gone up about 2 or 3, I think, actually. No, actually, I think we've gone up at 5 because it was at 33. But then we've got charge bonus still at 25, so everyone's still running the same, charging in the same amount. Fair enough. Melee defense 28. We've gone up a little bit there. It's still pretty bad, but they can at least hold themselves a little bit better than the lumberjacks. Armor at 50, massive increase from the lumberjacks. Health 95, still solid. Morale is at 41, so we've gone up about 9 there. And then our speed's decreased a little bit to 30, and our missile block chance is at 20. So we've increased that massively as well, about by 4 times. That has increased. Mana Quarries is a pretty solid unit. Do see them brought quite often, and they do pretty well. I often see them get between 100 to 200 kills sometimes. But yeah, a really solid unit. Would recommend bringing any unit from here on in. I think could bring to a battle if you wanted to. There you go. That is the Mana Quarries. Then we move on to the Warriors of Ered Mithrin. So we have seen the Ered Mithrin veterans before, as they have them in the Erebor roster. But this is another Ered Mithrin unit, and this is another shock infantry unit as well for Ered Mithrin, and that is the Warriors of Ered Mithrin. So it's a medium shock infantry. So we have actually gone back down. So we've gone back down to from heavy to medium, but they are slightly more expensive, and they are definitely worth bringing. Melee attack, look at it, 47. We've increased massively there. Melee damage still at 38 though. Charge bonus 25. Melee defense 34. These guys can hold themselves if they need to. They're actually pretty solid. Armor at 50. Then they've got their health at 95. Morale, we're looking at 46. Are really solid. These guys will hold for a long time. Speed at 30, and then missile block 25. So we've increased 5 times from the lumberjacks now, and like we've increased 5 points from the Mana Quarries. I personally think this is a really good unit. These guys did incredibly well in the Battle of Dale. Certainly stole my heart a little bit. I thought, yes, I'm bringing Ered Mithrin Warriors from now on. These guys are really good, really solid. They kind of remind me of the Dwarves of the Red Mountains, the Warriors of the Red Mountains, because they are basically same sort of price and same sort of quality, and but maybe even better, I would say, in my opinion. I often see the Dwarves of the Red Mountains do pretty awful, but these guys did pretty good. They did very well. So yeah, definitely a worthwhile bring of these guys. The Warriors of the Ered Mithrin. And then we have here the Ered Mithrin veterans. Here you go. So this is the even better unit. This unit is capped to 1. You can only bring 1 of this unit. Why it is so good. It is a veterans unit, but look at this unit. It looks amazing. It's actually still one of my favorite units. I just love the whole like beard, like helmet going on. It looks amazing. It really does. It's an elite shock infantry unit. It's still medium shock. Ered Mithrin units seem like they are more shock, like medium shock. They do kind of lose that like sort of armor, but they are heavy hitting, put it like that. Melee attack 55. My gosh, look at it. Excellent melee attack. good melee defense at 40. So even better than the warriors. Melee damage still at 38. Charge bonus at 25. Health is at 105 like all those other elite units we've seen. Armor at 50. Its morale is at 54. Again, these guys fight to the last man. They really do. Speed at 30 and missile block chance at 20. So we have gone down a little bit on the missile block chance compared to the warriors. This unit certainly I think is worth bringing. I often do bring it. You just kind of have to, I always feel like, treat it with care. Certainly I feel like these guys are a bit of a glass cannon. They often I can find themselves getting focused down or beaten by other shock infantry because they're medium. That is the problem bringing the Arid Mithrin veterans and the warriors the Arid Mithrin, that they are medium. So if they go up against another shock infantry unit, sometimes they can come losing out just because of the weight of the unit. Like if it's facing a very heavy, they'll sometimes probably lose that fight. But here we go, the second to last unit, which is the heavy shock infantry, known as the Sons of the Hill, and these guys are glorious. They are really, really good. There is another unit after it, but I've just shown it off just for the sake of it. But this is basically the last unit. It has excellent melee attack, good melee defense, average armor. This is the best shock infantry that the Dwarves of the Iron Hills have available to them. Melee attack at 55, same as the Arid Mithrin veterans. Melee damage at 38 as well. Charge bonus at 25. So nothing really changing here from the Arid Mithrin veterans, you see. Melee defenses go up to 40. But actually, I think that's still the same as the veterans, in fact. Yeah, it's still the same as the veterans. So that's not changed. And then you've got armor at 60, which has increased 105 on the health. Morale's also still going to be 54. Speed is down, but missile block chance back to 35. So you do have more armor. So really, all you're paying extra for, but it's just more armor, and just to have they survive a little longer if they get shot at. So if you know you're not facing an army that's going to have good range, you might be better just bringing the Arid Mithrin veterans. These Sons of the Hill, which are capped to 1 as well, are much more expensive, and yeah, all you're getting really is just extra armor, an extra missile block. And here you go. This is the final unit, which I thought I'd just show off, which is just the Sons of the Hill again, but we do have Day 9 foot. He doesn't really have anything different. I think his morale is just slightly better. Actually, it says it's 70 here, but it's still base 54. But yeah, it's nothing really different in the stats. I thought I'd just show him off. He has a load of abilities, and who doesn't like to see Dane being shown? But there you go, guys. That is the shock infantry. I'll quickly show you a few rosters I'd make for the Iron Hills, and then we will wrap up this video. Okay, so we are back, and as you can see, this is the entire roster for the Iron Hills. You can actually bring 4 different generals. You could bring a Dane Ironfoot, you could bring Iron Fortress Guardians, you could bring Arid Mithrin Veterans, or Iron Guards. You could basically bring most of the elite units as a general for the Iron Hills. So it's a very good variety of generals, which is I do like. But yeah, there is all the infantry. You can see we showed everything off. The only thing I think they need to add is just catapult. They need to add catapults at the bottom. Just so like it matches up with every other faction. Every faction can bring catapults, but the Iron Guard at the Iron Hills, I believe, at the moment. But anyway, we'll put some armies together. I put it to 17,500 because that seems to be what we're using at the moment for land battles. So I'll do a land battle build, and then I'll do a siege build, which will be at 20,000. But I would always bring Dane Ironfoot because he has the abilities. He gets the Warcry, and then I always put on a Warcry as well myself, so I have double Warcry, which is a very useful ability. I feel I have to double Warcry. I'd have at least 4 Iron Hill Warriors. I would bring the Arid Mithrin Veterans, because again they have more Warcry, which I don't believe the Sons of the Hill... Oh no, they do also have Warcry. But again, I'd say, as we've already spoken over, talked over, they don't really change too much in stats, like drastically. All you're getting really is the more missile block, which is pretty good, but it's costing you a little bit extra. If we have a little bit left over, maybe I'll change this. I would also bring 2 Warriors of Arid Mithrin, which are also capped to 2. I would probably then bring some Carn River Guard if I was to be holding my flanks or something like that. I'd bring the Iron Hill Pikes, which are very much needed, and then I'd probably bring Iron Fortress Guardians and actually I'd bring 1 Iron Fortress Guardian and then maybe 2 of them. No, we'll do it the other way around, actually. I would do it that way. I'd probably want better crossbows. You could even bring cheaper, like, pikes if you wanted to. A cheaper shock if you wanted to. And bring, like, more crossbows. Or you could just not bring pikes. And you could go, if you don't really like pikes, you could then bring another sword. And then you could bring another crossbow. Which actually still allows us to, with the Arid Mithrin Veterans, to bring the Sons of the Hill. So we'll bring them. So it really just depends on like how much money you spend, because these Sons of the Hill are good as well. So that is like a battle like roster I put together. That's pretty decent. It's like nothing too shabby. You could even just like get rid of the Carn and River Guard, and you could bring more shock infantry if you wanted to instead. Because some people just don't even want to bring spears. Like you could even just bring get rid of those two, and you could bring 2 more swords if you just wanted to bring more swords, which is also a decent build in itself. But yeah, we'll now build a siege one. So with sieges, we usually put on 20,000 when we do sieges. So defenders usually have 15,000. So again, I'd probably bring Dane. I'd probably bring a bunch of Iron Hills warriors. I'd probably bring at least 6 of them. I'd probably bring my 2 warriors of Ered Mithrin, my Sons of the Hill. I'd certainly be bringing 3 Iron Fortress Guardians and 1 Ered Mithrin crossbow. I bring a couple, 1 Dragon Slayer. That's all you can bring. I would probably bring, I'd bring some Iron Guards as well, because why not? Actually, I get wood. I'm going to switch that out because I'd rather bring another Pike, but actually we can't afford that. So if I were to, I mean, you could even not bring Dane, and you could bring an Ered Mithrin veteran, but I feel like Dane's always worth bringing. You could swap the Sons of the Hill out, and you could have Ered Mithrin veteran. See, this is what you do. It depends on what you want. Always worth, I think, bringing maybe 2 Pikes. 2 Pikes is always then a threat. Bringing just 1, certainly not worth it. And I wouldn't want to have to send up Dragon Slayers first. I'd rather have the Iron Hill Pikes to send up first. But that's a pretty decent build for a siege. You could even bring less crossbows if you wanted to. If you were playing with like an ally that's like the elves and they were bringing loads of archers, you could bring less crossbows and bring more like shock infantry. It really depends on like who you're like allied with. Because Iron Hills obviously are stronger in some areas. As you can see, no cav for the Iron Hills, so they're gonna struggle in land battles. But in sieges, I think they could really excel. But there you go, guys. That is the Iron Hill unit overview. I hope you guys did enjoy. Do remember to leave a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and a comment to show your support. And I'll see you guys in the next one.